Hello everyone, hope you're all well and thanks very much for all the support with my videos. I'm very appreciative. Today I want to speak about Jack Chambers, Ireland's Finance Minister, who gave an interview today and let slip in that interview that the upcoming budget will be held on October the 1st. Generally the budgets are held in the middle of October, but now we have an early election footing, which of course they won't talk about because it's the biggest open secret in Ireland about the early election that they're trying to keep under their hat, but everybody knows, and this is just another obvious clue that the early budget is going to lead to an early general election, so-called giveaway budget. But again, the usual buzzwords were thrown around by Chambers. Looks like he swallowed the buzzword dictionary and the propaganda dictionary from the Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Green Party government. Spoke about being careful, spoke about being sensible with the public finances and prudent. They weren't so sensible and prudent when it comes to the huge transfer of wealth during lockdowns towards the billionaires, the laptop classes and the corporations. They weren't so prudent when it came to the huge transfer of money for those who are profiting from the immigration industry currently. And of course they're never prudent when it comes to the transfer of wealth towards the private landlords in receipt of huge subsidies to provide a home for people in desperate need of accommodation. In this interview, we also spoke about the immigration issues, specifically about a case of 3,000 people that are due to leave international protection accommodation centres at the moment in the system. And he said that they will be pushed into local authorities and the emergency accommodation will suffice. This is absolutely crazy, but again, it's a typical response. We've seen more and more people on the streets every night in Dublin and across Ireland. And again, they're going to put more pressure on under-resourced basic services. Last week there was reports over 14,000 people are in emergency accommodation, 4,000 children. It's growing exponentially month by month. Huge amount of evictions from the private rented sector. And on top of this, they're trying to force more from the international protection system into the local authorities and emergency accommodation. And they also said they would have key workers. Maybe that's something flying there. Is that... I don't see pigs flying there as I speak about that. Absolute propaganda coming from Minister Chambers. He also spoke about the Exchequer returns. Now this is important because there was a surplus of corporation tax in the first 6 months of this year. It's up 15% on 2023 with 12.2 billion. We also have VAT about 16 billion and income tax of 16 billion and VAT of 11 billion. So we have the multinationals, the whole push to have pressure on multinationals in terms of tax haven Ireland and also in terms of a reliance on them, not to mention the over-reliance due to the neoliberal policies of the European Union, and also the income tax increases, he states, is due to more people working in low-pay work. Yesterday the figures went out that unemployment is increasing, interestingly enough, so there's a lot of extra low-pay work, and what's the best way to get extra low work in? Is through the immigration industry chaos. Subsidies for the commercial property owners and subsidies for the big employers to keep wages repressed. Also with VAT, an increase with VAT, which is a tax on ordinary people, and the vast majority of ordinary working class people are the ones that pay most proportionally on a disproportionate tax. So over 44 billion. It's up 9% since 2023 in terms of the tax figures. And what's the plan with this tax figures? The plan is to prepare for the future, not now, not for the housing crisis now, not for the health disaster, not for extra public finances being put into basic public services and social services across the state. No, it's the Ireland Future Fund, where they're funneling away 0.8% of GDP every year up to 2040 to prepare for the future. So it's absolute nonsensical, where they could be spending money on capital infrastructural projects that we need now, such as housing, as I said. But no, this is what the European Union don't want them to do, because this is not part of the Stability and Growth Pact and the fiscal rules that we have to abide by with the European Union. And Chambers' claim was that we had to get the budget in a week in advance of the ECOFIN meeting, which is the European Union finance ministers on the 8th of October. And the European Commission will review our budget in the 15th of October rather. So being good boys for the European Union and lapdogs for the big corporations. So he also spoke about helping enterprise. Small businesses are closing. Well done, Jack. He also spoke about the recovery from COVID. Small businesses closed, Jack. Big transfer of wealth towards the billionaires. Lockdowns made the poor poorer. He also spoke about trade, but being responsible to the macroeconomic situation, and also to look at cost of living supports. He said it's too early to set out the plan for cost of living supports. People who are struggling. Ireland's second most expensive country in Europe. The prices, who benefits? We all know the answer to that. Let me know in the comments. And he said it'd be a different shape of supports this year because inflation is moderating at 1.5%. Thank you very much, Jack, for that fantastic intervention. You're so responsible and so insightful with your political analysis of what's going on in the macroeconomic financial situation of ordinary people who are struggling to put food, pay their energy bills, pay their rent. But of course, Jack isn't interested in serving ordinary people. You know who Jack serves. So he said it's going to be more targeted supports and it's going to be careful and a different context. Buzzword, Jack. He quite reminds me in terms of his policies, robotic in terms of his nature, but also quite like the Thunderbirds, I think, to an extent. Maybe perhaps he comes from some time in the future with his Future Ireland Fund, Jack Chambers, when Ireland is in the land of lockdowns, permanent lockdowns, authoritarianism and control by the European centralised psychopaths who want to control society and have us in a sort of a feudal system. So interesting times here in Ireland, very interesting developments, but Jack Chambers, as I said, probably used something out of Thunderbirds, one of those Tracy brothers perhaps, and complete yes man for the political establishment and just really being shoved into that position as a stooge by Micheál Martin. But of course, who does he represent? He represents the big business elites and more nonsense as they prepare to put together their summer economic statement next week, himself and Pascal Donoghue. And of course, this is all reliant on European Union fiscal rules with a Stability and Growth Pact that was upgraded and strengthened for the European Union a number of years ago. That was passed by the Irish electorate in a referendum. Of course, Enda Kenny was pushing that referendum through, where it limits your spending to a certain percentage of GDP and all your budgets have to get monitored. And the plan is to have these budgets over the next 3 to 5 years should be presented to the European Commission. Doesn't sound very democratic now, does it? In terms of control over our own policies. But of course, we don't have any control over our fiscal policy, despite what they try and say, despite what they're going to say, a giveaway budget, or maybe throw a few crumbs at people leading up to an election. It won't be a giveaway budget. It'll be another austerity budget, marked under the guise of a giveaway. A few extra crumbs for people on fixed payments, struggling to make ends meet. So that's why we need a dramatic shift in Ireland. A shift that will put the needs of people first, put the right to a home, and a dignified existence. And it starts with control over your policies. It includes your fiscal policy in terms of spending control, and also in terms of taxation. We see a lot of the higher earners in our society, they don't pay their fair share of tax. The effective rate of corporation tax is around the 7% mark. When they talk about this headline figure of 12.5, moving up to 15%, the effective rate is just over 7%, which again, you see so many tax accountants around Dublin City, legal firms working through all these structures to minimise their tax payments, which is all legal, of course, because it's orchestrated through the political classes here in Ireland and ably facilitated by Minister Chambers. So it's complete nonsense. We have to lift the veil of the illusion of what is democratic in Ireland and put the needs of people first. So thanks for supporting my videos, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the likes, shares, comments. Thanks for people who subscribe to my YouTube channel also as well. So if you like my videos, please press subscribe. So Dublin tonight, take care, talk to you all soon. Slán, bye bye.